Hey you guys, okay, let's talk Lightroom. So, as I have been looking into this more and I've had some questions about Lightroom, you guys you can sign up for like a free Lightroom trial, but for like a week with your email address. But then after that, it's like a $10 a month subscription, but I think you have to sign up for a full year. If you only want to do month by month, then it's like 20 bucks for the month. So you guys are gonna have to like decide if it's worth it to you, but yeah, that just gives you an idea of what to expect here. Okay, so when I open up Lightroom, it's gonna open up here in this top right corner. We're in the library right now. So you're gonna choose your image that you want to edit. So go to import, and then you're gonna go over here on the left side and you're gonna find the folder that has the pictures that you want to edit. So I'm gonna choose the folder. I'm gonna make sure that down here at the bottom left side it's check all is selected so that all the pictures are checked. And then I'm gonna push down here on the right side import. So that's gonna bring all of my photos into Lightroom. Once they're all in there, then we're just going to go up to this top right corner and we're going to click on develop. The develop module is where you actually do your editing. So it's good to know where that's at. Okay, so choose which picture you want. Down here at the bottom, you can scroll through and see little thumbnails of all of the pictures that you just imported. And I'm going to choose this one, maybe. Go. Okay, I'm gonna start with this one, even though she's making like the weirdest face. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start with this one. It's already been edited once, so I'm gonna reset all the settings. No, it's not working. I think that's a JPEG. Okay, we're just gonna go here. Okay, so to start out, the first thing I do is right here on this right side. We're gonna be working on the right side over here. It's this little dropper right here, this white balance dropper. I'm going to click on that and then just click on a neutral part of the photo. It doesn't necessarily have to be white, although I usually choose white. And that's going to kind of adjust your white balance. But if you click, like for example, on this dark wall, like it just needs to be in neutral. If you don't love where it has automatically put your white balance, these two things up here, the temperature and the tint, these can be adjusted to choose your white balance. So you can see that. I'm gonna just use the dropper to go back to where it was. So if it's too warm or too cool after you use the dropper, use those to adjust a little bit. Okay, then we're gonna go to tone right here to exposure. And this is where you can brighten up your picture. If you bring it way up, you can make it super bright. If you bring it down, you can make it super dark. I usually will just bring it up quite a bit. And it just depends on your picture and where it's at. But I like to brighten it up quite a bit. And then I do like to use the contrast. And I'll bring the contrast in. Contrast will make your darks darker and your lights lighter. So I don't like to get too heavy-handed with that, but bring it up until it looks, you know, a little more interesting and has a little more contrast. Then I'll go to highlights, and I usually bring my highlight slider down a little bit. This makes it so that any of the bright areas of the photo are not blown out. So you can see when I pull it all the way down, it makes the whites really like kind of grayish. And if I pulled it all the way up, it makes the whites really bright. So I usually bring it down just a little so that I make sure I have plenty of detail. Okay, so then I go to shadow, and I want more shadow, so I'm going to bring the shadow down as well. You can see it takes the dark parts of the image and brings that shadow down. Or you can take away the shadow by pulling it up if you have shadows you don't like. I generally will pull it down though. And then I don't usually do a lot with the whites. The whites, if you pull it up, it makes the whites brighter. And down it takes away the whites. So it's kind of similar to highlights, but it's focused specifically on whites. I do like to bring in more black though, so I'll bring the blacks down a little bit usually. Okay, then we're gonna go to clarity. And a lot of times I will put a little bit of clarity in, but this you do not want to use very much of, because you'll see if you pull it way up, it makes it look pretty wild. And if you take it all the way away, it makes it way too soft. So I'll usually just bring it up a teeny bit and usually call that good. I also sometimes will use a little bit of vibrancy depending on if I have a lot of color. Vibrancy will just brighten up some of your like stronger colors. It's a little different than saturation, which will just saturate everything. Vibrancy just does like a little bit, just like your more bold colors in the picture. Okay, so then I'm going to go down here and right here on the tone curve. The tone curve, when you are using the tone curve, the ideal tone shape is an S shape. So that means the top part up, the bottom part down. So what you can see is that that's kind of just creating contrast for the picture. If I bring the bottom part up, it makes the darks lighter. And if I bring the top part down, it makes the lights darker. So the top part affects the light part of the picture, the bottom part affects the dark part of the picture. Ideally you want a little bit of an S, but I usually don't do very much, unless I'm going for something pretty extreme. And one thing I could do if I wanted to brighten up Lucy's face here would be just to bring that up a little bit on both parts, and that's going to brighten up my whole picture. It's a little too bright with that white paper though for me. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and go down. Okay, these saturation sliders are really cool because they control an individual color. So when I take away that red, you can see the red paint is gone, or I can make it super bright. A lot of times I'll take out a little bit of red and a little bit of orange, and then quite a bit of yellow. Not too much, but my pictures tend to be, I have like beige colored walls, so my pictures tend to be pretty yellowy. And then sometimes I'll add in some blue to just add a little more color to it. But you can play around with that. Okay, split toning, don't worry about that right now. We'll cover that in a later class. It's a super cool feature, but it's kind of confusing, so we're not going to worry about that right now. But in detail, if you go to sharpening and you take this, I usually sharpen my picture between 40 and 50, somewhere in there. And then this little preview will give you an idea. It's usually right in the middle of the picture, so this one's like right here where her hands meet. And it shows you how much like grain you have. So I will usually take the grain slider, this noise reduction slider luminance, and I will slide it up to about half of what my sharpening is. And that usually is pretty good, but if you have a ton of grain, do not be afraid to just, don't pull it up that much, but pull it up until you're seeing in your picture that it's softer and not so grainy. So, yeah, so I'll just pull that up somewhere, and you can just try it out and see what you like. And then that is all that I'm going to do on that slider, or on this section right here. So, I'm going to stop that right. Well, yeah. So, there is another really cool thing. Right up here at the top on this right side, this circle right here is called the radial filter. This filter is one of my favorite features of of Lightroom. And it's because I can edit a picture and like an overall picture, but then I can emphasize a specific part, which I really like. Sorry, I had to reset all the settings because they were saved from the previous edit. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to click on that, and then you are going to make a circle where you want your focus to be. So for example, if I wanted my focus to be right here on her hand, I can adjust that so that it is really focused right there. Turn it and put it like right on her hand. right where I want the focus to be. And then I can individually, oh, one thing, we've got to make sure we do this. Come down right here to this invert mask. Make sure it's checked. If it's checked, then it's going to affect the inside of the picture. If it's not checked, it's going to affect the outside of the circle. So you want it affecting the inside of the circle, so make sure you check it. Okay, so then you can adjust your exposure and all of your other things right just inside that circle to add some emphasis. So I'm going to put in some contrast, some shadows, some blacks, a little bit of clarity, and then I'm going to bring up the sharpness. That's going to make that part of the picture nice and sharp, and then I'll click done. Okay, so I'm about done with this particular image. I might want to brighten it up with my exposure just a little bit more, but overall I'm feeling like really happy with this. So if you go down to the bottom of the picture right here where it says YY, that is going to show you before and after. And so you can see before, this was my original picture, and this is how I edited it. You can see there's a big difference. I love using that feature when I'm done with it, editing a shot, because it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. You can see the difference you've made, and you can see if you need to do more. And then you can click on this box, double box right here to go back to the image. Okay, and then to save it out, you're going to go back up here to the top right side, click back on library, and make sure you're in grid view down here on this bottom left side. And then you can see, you'll be able to see on here which pictures you've edited. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, go back to develop. Right here on this left side, if you click copy and then copy again, then you can go to any of these other pictures that you've taken. If any of the other ones you've taken are like the same lighting, you can push paste, and it is automatically going to paste those settings to your picture. So that's like, once you've edited one, you can edit more so quickly by just clicking paste. Okay, so back to library, make sure you're in grid mode. Okay, now all the ones that I've edited have this little plus minus little gray square right here. So I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to click on all the ones, oh sorry, not shift, I always get confused, the control key. And I'm just going to click on each of the ones that are edited, and then I'm going to click down here on the left side at export. And then you're going to choose export location. I always have it export to a specific folder, and then I choose that folder. So I'm going to go right here to the painting folder. So that's where I got them from. And then file naming, I choose rename to custom name dash sequence, and I will rename them. So like I might name them painting April 2017, and then I'm going to start on number 1. What that's going to do is automatically save them out with that name, and then as -1, -2, -3, and so forth. And then just make sure you're saving as JPEG and 100% quality. And then you're going to go ahead and push export. Up here in the left corner, you'll see that it has this thing that says exporting 3 files. That'll show you how much time you have left for the export, and it's usually really quick, just a minute or 2 or less. It's almost done, and then you can find your pictures in that folder that you saved into. So let me know if you have questions. I know we went kind of fast, but I will happily show you more. And one of the things that everybody really enjoyed about our last class was if they had a question or an issue with a picture, they would send it to me, and I'd make an editing video of me editing the picture for them. So if you ever at any point want me to do that, I'm more than happy to. Just send it to me and I can edit it for you and send the video back so that you can see what I did to edit. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you later.